So moving on, another big piece that kind of came out, which was sort of a shock last week, is that Stephen Colbert was canceled.
Yeah.
And not canceled by the internet, canceled by his own company. Now he'll be on the air till next May. And Jax, you weren't like a late night person, were you?
I love him, and I love, like, I don't watch it in like long form live or anything, but I watch clips of it. I believe he's brilliant. And it's funny because I audibly gasped when I heard it on CBC. And I remember thinking, I was like, I will remember that this is when, I mean, we've already seen a lot of it, but when you start to see, the
bad guys are winning.
The big censoring.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's happening right now.
Well,
yeah.
so here
has nothing to do with ratings. It has nothing to do with the show. Someone wants him off the air, and you know why.
Well, the lead up is that Trump has filed a bunch of lawsuits against specific media organizations, and he did that in the lead up to the election. And the reason he did it was because if he won, they're going to have to pay him, and it's a grift, right? And so he did it with CBS and 60 Minutes. And they've had to change out their news director, which he's been there for 30 years. And then this, Stephen Colbert basically said that there was going to be a payout because basically what there's a huge media company. I won't get into it, but there's a huge media merger deal. And the Trump administration has basically said, behind closed doors, listen, drop your defense of this. Pay us the money that we're asking for, and we'll approve the deal. And so it's so interesting because Colbert goes on the air on Monday, and about his own company, he's like, that's a bribe. He called it a big fat bribe. Which, I mean,
is he lying? No. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And then, so now what they're saying, and this is what's so fascinating, is that his company is going, actually, no, the show loses about $40 million a year. Now advertising is down. Advertising dollars are down. They say they spend about $100 million on the show every year, and they only make back about $60 million now. And before the pandemic, it used to be a lot more. Now we've seen that in media, Jax. Like that happens. That's happened in radio. That's happened in television. It's gone to all that money's going to streaming and like YouTube and stuff, right?
Yes, and slowly but surely, absolutely. Yeah, we've seen that for years.
But Bernie Sanders said Stephen Colbert, an extraordinary talent and the most popular late night host, because by the way, Stephen Colbert was number one in the ratings, slams the deal. Yep. Days later, he's fired. Do I think that's a coincidence? No. So I just want to ask you because I'm wondering here, can both things be true? Yes, they're losing money on Stephen Colbert, but the reason you have a show like that is not necessarily, I mean, obviously you want to make money, but they make money in a million different ways. You have that show because of the prestige, because it's a late show, because, like Jax, you watch it. Why? You watch clips in the morning because there's an artist on or an actor on or somebody on that he's interviewing, right?
Yeah. And I do like, I don't know, there's some late night folks that are current and not that I don't like their take. And I don't like that they try to make, their personalities a part of the politics. And I just want to hear, I want to hear the politics. I want to hear maybe like a slight take on it, but I don't want like, I want to hear the facts and not a lot of these people's feelings. And I like that Stephen speaks up when he needs to. He's sarcastic. His delivery is fantastic. But he's also like, he wants to share information.
Yes.
And that's what it's about. And that's what the show is about. And it's not sharing his information or his take on it like sometimes, but it's about sharing the information, and it is about free speech. And like you said, the bad guys are winning, and it's terrifying.
So I think the important thing to take away from this is that, there's very little, it's funny, people like in these times, because it does feel like the bad guys are winning. I think one of the things you got to do is, and everybody's, personal politics are sort of personal to them, but I think you got to really support the voices that you agree with and challenge yourself by, viewing other viewpoints and that sort of thing. But, somebody like Stephen Colbert, the reason that a company like, Paramount can, or I guess CBS can cancel the show is because he wasn't making money anymore. If he hadn't caused an issue, but he wasn't making money, maybe the show goes on a few more years. But because he's causing an issue and he's not making money for the network, well, there's an easy cancel. And you're getting in the way of our deal and stop messing it up. I think it's really important, Jax. You talked about like, there's this censorship going on. The place that I don't see the censorship going on as much is certain apps on the internet, specifically TikTok. And so
what happened to TikTok? It was almost shut down. Like,
it was. But,
and then Big Daddy saved the day, which was obviously a move. And I'll just say it right now. Like, I mean, we keep our politics out of this for sure. But like, if you don't think there's a bigger issue happening and you listen to the show, we may have different politics. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a political thing. I think everybody kind of knows there's something going on, right? That is an indisputable fact. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's why it's important to support dissenting voices that you go, hey, I think this is a person that people can get behind, interact with. You know how we always tell you to like and share the show as much as possible. People who might not, maybe do that with some people in your circle. It really does help. Now, speaking of making the media rounds, and this is a bit of a weird segue, but Jax, you were on all of your hometown television stations today, like this morning, talking about our show.
Yeah, you know what, Adam? I wasn't Stephen Colbert and I wasn't shut down, but I was on all of the Atlantic Canadian outlets today. And by all, I wasn't on all of them. I had the pleasure of going back to a building that you and I used to work in. I was on CTV Atlantic this morning on Your Morning Atlantic. And Adam, I realized, because we worked in the Bell Toronto building, and sorry, Reggie's just at my legs here. We've been in the Bell Toronto building, and I've done, national shows, and we were lucky enough to have a billboard in New York City, but I've never been on CTV in Halifax, like on it. I've never been in the studio properly like that. I was dressed as an elf once, many years ago in 2014.
Of course.
For a parade with a man named Cyril Lunny. But that is about it. So it was crazy. And I was fangirling a bit. And it was really nice. I talked about the podcast, East Coast Calls. And then, I did a sit-down interview that's going to be coming out later this week with the Chronicle Herald.
Oh, the newspaper.
And it was really special. Just to give you a quick story, but my dad, who passed away in 2018, he had a bumper sticker, like for each station that I worked on the back of his car. Like, that man was proud, and I could, like, just me going into college, he was excited. So like, he was always cheering me on, and a lot of my like bigger things have happened since he's passed. And the one thing that I was like, my father, I would say my father would die, but no, but he would be so proud to see me in the Chronicle Herald. So they actually did kind of something cool where they said, do you want to go somewhere that would be special to your dad? So they took me to this place. They met up with me at a place called Victoria Park, which is outside the VG. Yep. My mom's a nurse. She used to always get off at the VG, and then dad would wait for her. So like, he loved that park, and it's really pretty, nice, like hanging trees. So it was one of the first days it's kind of rained in Halifax today too, so it was special. It was kind of misty, and we met outside and just chatted about what we're doing, what I'm doing, what we want to be doing. It was really cool. Full circle moment. That is a very long answer to yes. I was on Halifax News today.
See, I love this. This. Well, I mean, this this is one of those things where I think it's neat that you got to do, like, you're so much of what you do is based on where you're from, right? When we talked, we were on the radio together, this podcast, your East Coast Call, like, so much of who you are is based on where you are right now, which is the East Coast of Canada. And it's such a specific, fun, great culture. And it's so unique that I think it's so cool that you get to go and experience this as somebody who's coming back home and having this really nice, comeback too, because everybody's excited to see you, and you worked your way up from nothing there.
I did, and I went to NSCC, and like, I mean, people have always been really excited and really kind and really gracious and generous.
You mean Nova Scotia Community College? Nobody knows what NSCC is.
Oh, sorry. NSCC. Yeah, I got to say what it is. Nova Scotia Community College. But people have been really kind to me, you know, when I come back here. But these East Coast calls that I do that you can find online kind of really took off in the past year. So this year has been really different coming back. It's been like people know more of my content, I guess. And a lot of people have stopped me and said, you know, it reminds them of their nanny. So if you're listening to this and if you see me, I'm going to be here for like another week. If you see me bopping around, I'd love to talk to you and I really appreciate it.